or clap or tap. Ya la la
La
la
la ya la ya la la ya la ya la la ya la la ya la la
ya
la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la ya la 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 la.
Let's sing Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
One more time we sing.
Ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la
Ya
la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la ya la 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 la.
Last time Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's good to be back together again for Shabbat, to celebrate the end of a week, to relax, to revel in those happy moments that we've had during the week, and to support each other when we have had challenging moments as well. We are so pleased to have so many of our members here this Shabbat, because we could not be here if it were not for all of you. And for all of our members and for all of our prospective members joining us online, we are so pleased to have you as well. We will be praying from Mishkan Tefillah. That's the prayer book beneath your seat, so make sure that you have that for all of the prayers that we will be doing tonight. Make sure that you have your phone silenced, that you have Apple Watches turned off. There are no bowl games right now. Georgia is not playing. The Braves already won the championship, so I don't know if there's any ESPN alerts going off, but I could be wrong. But you don't want anything to go off, and don't be that person during silent prayer that has the reminder to take their pills going off. Cantor Desnick.
Hi.
Rabbi Max. If we need to exit the sanctuary, there are exits to the left, to the right, emergency behind you, and an emergency behind me. Let's turn to one another, shout across the room, wish everyone here Mazel Tov. We have a chance, or not Mazel Tov.
Well, it can be a Mazel Tov.
You made it to Shabbat, but why don't you wish everyone Shabbat Shalom first? Introduce yourselves if you don't know each other already.
Ya la la
Ya la la ya la ya la la ya la ya la la ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 ya la ya la ya la 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. If the week went by quickly, then we have Shabbat to take a break. If the week went by very, very slowly, then welcome, you made it. Let's take a pause before we begin our service to settle ourselves, to find a good place for our neck, for our shoulders, for our back, our feet feeling planted, comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like, or find an area in the sanctuary that you'd like to fix your gaze. We take in a deep breath together and out. As we bring ourselves closer to the rest that we deserve, each and every week, we take in a second breath and out. And with a third breath, we dive deeper into Shabbat, ready to connect, ready to feel that sense of belonging, and ready to find that connection with God. Deep breath in and out. We join together in lighting our Shabbat candles, page 120, and I'm going to ask everyone to please rise.
May we bring in all of that Shabbat energy and light and Shabbat love. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
If you would like to light your own Shabbat candles, we have the tables to my left and to my right. Find the candle that's lit, light your own Shabbat candles. Feel free to say your own blessing if you'd like as you're up there, so we can bring in more light into these dark days of winter this Shabbat. We join together with Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem,
Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 138, and may be seated. And as I promised the last time I was on the Bima, that I would commit to, at least for 9 times, not to say the same thing about Lecha Dodi as I've said the week before. So there's at least some variation in how I introduce at least one prayer. And so what I want to draw our attention to in this particular prayer is the verses on number 8. Again, one that we don't do, but those are sometimes the ones that I'm attracted to the most, is that the Yamin Usmol Tifrotzi, right and left. This idea when we pray and we greet the Sabbath bride, sometimes people bow to the left and to the right. This is the idea of welcoming everyone from all sides, that we await the feeling of Shabbat to encompass us wherever we are and all around us as we sit here in our sanctuary. So with that, page 138, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi
Likrat Gala, B'nei Shabbat,
one more time.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela,
Shamo
V'zachor, B'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu, El HaMiuchad, Adonai Echad, Shema Echad, Shemu Tiferet, V'Tehila, Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi Likrat Gala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela, Likrat Shabbat,
ונלך כי מקור הברכה
מקדם נשוא
סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי שיר דרי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We rise greeting the Sabbath bride.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה
Face forward.
לך
דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת קהלה פני שבת נקבלה. We remain standing, page 146, Baruch Hu.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yalalai 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 Yalalai
On the back inside cover of our Siddur, we find the words roll into dark, welcoming on Shabbat, bringing in this change of days, welcoming the evening.
Roll into dark,
Roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech, kolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into becomes day, day turns to night. With words of Shema, we center ourselves. Page 152. If we'd like the words, or to close our eyes and simply listen as we pray these words aloud together, hearing the voices of our community join as one. Shema Yisrael, page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai
Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch
Shem kevod malchuto, leolam va'ed. Page 154. V'ahavta, please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהי. אני
אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We prayed together these words on 155 on the opposite page, preparing for Micha Mocha, our Song of Freedom, with reminding ourselves of what it means to live every day free as Jews. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you are tired or you are rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We join together singing that song that our ancestors sang once they reached that moment of freedom, to praise Adonai, to praise God. Page 158, Micha Mocha.
Micha Mocha, Ma'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedor B'Kodesh. Micha Mocha, Ma'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedor B'Kodesh. Nora Tehilot, Osei Fele Nora, Nora Tehilot, Osei Fele. Who is like you? Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? When Moses and the children crossed the sea, they sang to you with songs of joy. Who is like you, Adonai? Nedor Kodesh.
On page 160, Hashkivenu, as I was looking at the close of Hashkivenu, I always dwell on Haporeh Sukat Shalom Aleinu, the one who spreads over a shelter of peace. And I think about that in the context of every Sunday, when we're inside, when it's too cold, we gather with the preschoolers and the K-1-2 kids, and we do tefillah in front of the ark. And it really sets the tone and sets the mood of that tefillah, of those prayers, when we sing a song about God. It's a children's song. You've probably heard little kids singing it before, but there's one part about feeling God and knowing God is there. And I feel like the sitting before this ark and seeing this shelter of peace over us is the closest that we might get sometimes to feeling God and knowing God is around us, by being in awe and sitting just beneath the Ner Tamid in front of our Torahs amidst this wonderful congregation. So we join together in Hashkivenu, page 160.
Hashkivenu
Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Save us for the sake of your name.
Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu Page 162 at the top, Vishamru. As I was driving in, even rabbis have playlists to help get them into the mode of Shabbat, and I have mine. It's called Shabbat Playlist on my Apple Music. It's very inventive. And one of the songs that appears on there is a song by an Israeli band. It's Vishamru, just sung to a different melody that they chose. But the translation is what caught my eye this time as I was driving. Vishamru is the title. It's written in transliteration. And instead of saying they shall keep, which is one translation of Vishamru, it said the guardians. And it's a legitimate translation. It's very figurative, but it'll work. But I just thought it was very interesting to call the song Vishamru the guardians, because shomer is very much a word of military guard. Shmirah is military guarding when you're on base in Israel. And to imagine Jews as guardians for one another, but also for this day that we've kept up for thousands of years. as a way for us to return to each other and as something that is very precious to us, that we act as guardians each day, and as we return to Shabbat, we get to enjoy that jewel that we guard. So we join together in Vishamru, page 162.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael
Et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו
בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת
לדורותם ברית עולם.
I was recently speaking with a student becoming bar mitzvah in 2022 about their Torah portion, and it so happens that this young person's Torah portion contains the 10 Commandments. It can happen 3 different times in the year. He got lucky. As a part of our preparation for the process, we study the parsha together while the bar mitzvah student drafts their Devar Torah. And when we were discussing, one of the questions I always like when I approach the 10 Commandments is, what isn't in the 10 Commandments? There's a pretty solid list of 10 rules that we should follow, but it's a question that maybe we don't often consider about if these are the basic laws, did we leave something out? Is there something that should be there? Is there something that we would replace it with to keep the number at 10? I love the question because the 10 Commandments are a decent way to start any kind of social contract. A few of them have to do with God and Judaism in particular, but most of them are how any society ought to interact, how the people within that society should treat one another. The one that I always find that's missing, and sometimes the bar mitzvah student catches on, sometimes they don't, and I give them this, is that one of the commandments that's not there, and it's really not so much of a commandment at all, is the commandment, the negative commandment, don't lie. Nowhere in the 10 Commandments, and really there's no very clear-cut place in Judaism that says don't lie in that kind of plain language. There we have something like don't bear false witness, and we'll get into that, which is like lying, and it may involve lying, but is not the same thing as telling a lie. And why, this is actually a real question that I want to ask you. It's not rhetorical. We're going to do a little bit of Torah study together. And the question is, why are we commanded not to bear false witness, but we're not commanded from lying? Why is lying not in the 10 Commandments? So I'm going to stay up here. Otherwise, if it were another time, I'd come around and hold up the mic. Yeah, Nora. So I'll summarize for those who couldn't hear and for those online that it's okay to tell a white lie as long as nobody gets hurt and as long as it doesn't cause harm. Right, okay, yeah. So as long as any spiritual, figurative feelings or physical harm, as long as that's not involved, a white lie, not so bad. Why else? Why are we commanded only to not bear false witness, but not commanded from lying? Yeah, Susan.
If you bear false witness, you are hurting someone else, like they're going to have punishment.
They're going to have if you bear false witness, they're going to have the punishment. Right, and so the idea that you're even getting into without mentioning it is that bearing false witness is involved in the justice system. That if you lie on the stand, if you lie as a witness, then somebody else will get in trouble, or potentially could get in trouble for what you've done. Yeah. Other ideas?
Bearing false witness involves an oath before God.
It involves a what before God?
Oath to God.
Oath. It involves an oath, yes. Yeah, and that is taken very seriously in Judaism. If you promise something or if you break that promise, it's one of the biggest no-nos that you can do, and that's why we have Yom Kippur, to atone for that very big sin of breaking a promise. So one of the other reasons, and I'll give this to you, is that lying can save your life. That's one of the other things that Jews have actually had to do, is that there is a question of what do you do in times of persecution? Are you allowed to lie? Are you allowed to say that you are going to convert to another religion, or that you do eat pork, or that you would worship an idol? And during times of persecution, the rabbis go back and forth, or peace times or persecution. Some say that you should lie to maintain your life, and others say that there are certain things that we don't even lie to save our life for. And there's not a clear-cut answer in Jewish tradition about that particular case, but lying could save your life. And that is something that Judaism obviously puts at the very top of the list. So I think it's pretty clear, but I want to reiterate at the outset that lying is not okay in Judaism. That is not by any means a good idea. It's not approved of, but except in certain very limited circumstances. The understanding in Jewish culture and law and literature is that lying is illegal when performed in the justice system, like bearing false witness. However, in human relationships, we know that there is a gray area, and the classic dilemma in rabbinic literature is an illustration of this point, where the rabbis, this is all male literature, so they aren't exactly including the women in this, you'll see why. They say, what do we say to a bride on her wedding day if she isn't beautiful? And of course, we all know the answer, that every bride is beautiful on their wedding day, but the rabbis have to ask this question. They have to figure out, all right, well, we don't want to get in trouble with our wives or with the bride, and we need to know what we're supposed to do, because we don't want to lie, but if we need to preserve shalom, if we need to preserve peace, we need to figure out what to do. So what they come down on is they say that lying is okay, but when it comes to the bride on her wedding day, but what is better is to find qualities about the bride that can be praised on her wedding day so as to avoid any lying by omission or any other of the sort. You can agree or disagree about the solution that they had, but the point that they're trying to get to is that sometimes we tell white lies to preserve relationships and to maintain shalom in the house, shalom bayit. The ultimate goal of that being that when we are celebrating a wedding, that is when the beloveds are coming together and when God is ever more present in that chuppah, in that community. So the whole thing about lying comes up in our Torah portion this week, Vayechi. In the last book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, Joseph and his brothers finally resolve their differences. The 12 sons of Israel come together to bury their father, and before meeting Joseph, the brothers send a messenger ahead to set the tone of the summit. The message the brothers tell Joseph is that Jacob is dying, and his dying wish is that Joseph will forgive all of his brothers. What we all know, that Joseph is unaware, because we have the benefit of the narrator, is that Jacob never said anything like the sort. This is a total lie. The brothers are making this up so that Joseph doesn't kill them, or what they perceive danger could happen when the 13 of them all get together. When Rabbi Elazar of the Talmud read this verse, he taught that a person is permitted to depart from the truth in a matter that will bring peace. Even though Jacob never uttered these words, they were sent ahead to preserve the peace within the family. Whereas we probably grew up with the maxim, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. One take from our Jewish tradition teaches that if you don't have anything nice to say, you better find something nice, or else you're going to be a jerk. To tell someone who is bald that they have beautiful hair is a crude joke at best and deeply insulting at the very worst. The cautionary advice surrounding all of this is not to exaggerate and to, as Rashi commentated, that to think about how the person wants to be spoken to put yourself in their shoes before opening your mouth, to think before you speak. I'm reminded of a former late-night show, The Colbert Report with Stephen Colbert, that used to air after The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and The Colbert Report famously had a word of the day. And on the pilot episode, October 17th, 2005, Colbert maybe coined the word, maybe didn't, the word truthiness, which was a very popular word 15 years ago. The definition of truthiness is the belief or assertion that a particular statement is true without regard for evidence, logic, or actual facts. And if we re-examine our Torah portion in the light of this word, the lie that Joseph's brothers tell Joseph had a lot of truthiness. It seemed like something Jacob might say, like something a father would tell his children. On rare occasion, truthiness is handy to have around, particularly when little is at stake. But when we use or rely on lies to please others, we fall into the trap our rabbis were so concerned about. And the stories, like the reconciliation between Joseph and his brothers, is an excellent portrayal of family dysfunction and personal character flaws and a bit of truthiness that is needed to resolve all of these issues. No one is perfect in the Joseph story, and they kill, they deceive, they lie, they trick. They're all pretty not great people, at least not perfect people. And the one lesson that we ought to take away is that, they might not be so much better than us. Even the medieval rabbis who commented on this story do not condemn the brothers for their lie. They express the fact that sometimes, on very rare occasion, departing from the truth can lead to a peaceful outcome. And Rabbi Hanina in the 4th century said that the seal of God is truth, is emet. And Rashi, talking about this, said a little bit of mysticism, which if you know me and studying, I really don't get into mysticism all that much, but I liked it here, which is that the word emet is aleph, mem, tav. Aleph is the first word, mem, it's backwards for you, or I guess this is the right way. Aleph is the first word, tav is the last word, mem is right in the middle. And the idea is to say that if truth is not present from beginning to end, and truth is God, then God cannot be present in any given situation where there is falsehood. As we enter a new secular calendar year, may we be motivated to bring truth into our lives and to fill our lives with God's presence and to pursue lives of righteousness, that we can have a life and a home and a sanctuary filled with emet, truth, God, and righteousness. Shabbat Shalom. We join together for the Amidah, page 164, and we rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'Ma'an Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Mashib haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofeh holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech melid, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Take a few moments for our own quiet prayers and reflections. If you'd like to pray the words written on the page or the words written in your hearts, minds, and souls, feel free to take this time for yourselves. When your prayers have been concluded, I invite you to be seated.
You can find these words on page 180. At the top, my God, guard my speech from evil and my lips from deception. Before those who slander me, I will practice humility. Elohai nitzur l'shoni mera, usfatai medaber mirma, v'lim kalilai nafshi tidom, v'nafshi ke'afar la'kol tihye, Elohai, Elohai. Elohai nitzur l'shoni mera, usfatai medaber mirma, v'lim kalilai nafshi tidom, v'nafshi ke'afar la'kol tihye, Elohai. Elohai, ptach libi, ptach libi, ptach libi, Nitzor l'shoni mera usfatai medaber mirma, V'nim kalilai nafshi tidom, v'nafshi kefar la kol tihiyeh Elohai, Elohai. Elohai nitzur l'shonim mira, u'sfatai merabir mirma. V'nim kalilai nafshi tidom, v'nafshi kefar la kol tihiyeh Elohai, Elohai. Ihu leratzonim reifi, v'hegion libi lefanecha Adonai, Adonai, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, v'goi.
It's my pleasure to invite up Co-President Robert Wittenstein to give us an update on some of the events happening at Temple Emanu-El in these dark days of winter.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So next Friday night is December 24th. And if you are so inclined, we're going to have a little Chinese food before services. So I would invite you to sign up, register. We'll have food set up both inside and outside for anybody who is not comfortable eating inside without a mask. There will be opportunities to be outside as well. Come, join us. We'll have a nice evening. A week later is the 31st, New Year's Eve. We will have a little champagne set out for the evening. And for anybody who brings children, we're going to have an early countdown to New Year's Eve. So if you've got little kids and you want to bring them over and have a little bit of a celebration, that will be fun. January 10th starts the week of Tu B'Shvat, which is the tree planting holiday for Jews. And it starts Green Week here at Temple Emanu-El. We're going to have something every night. And I encourage you to block this period off on your calendar because there are some great things coming. On the 12th of January, we have Joanna Kilbatlover, I think I said that right, who is the chair of a new organization that was formed this year called JCAN Georgia, Jewish Climate Action Network of Georgia. They are connected to and affiliated with GIPL, Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, and this is a group of Atlanta-based or Georgia-based Jews who are using their connection to Judaism as the basis for their activism on climate change. On the 13th, we have Mark Elliott, who some of you may know as one of the climate scientists on the Weather Channel. And he's going to be coming and talking with us that evening about the state of the world, the state of the climate. And then on January 17th, which is MLK Day, the Monday of MLK Day, which is actually the day of Tu B'Shvat, we are going to be participating in a tree planting, a community-wide tree planting at Brook Rome. So hopefully you will try to join those things. They're all going to be very rewarding, and hope to see you there. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Why don't you keep the mic with you, because we'll have Shehechianu now. So to celebrate those wonderful moments in our lives, it could be, as I like to say, hitting all greens on the way to synagogue, or it could be something like a birthday, or maybe a baby being born, that we have all reasons to celebrate the big and little things of our lives that are bringing a smile to our face. Nora, do you have something that you want to share?
Something wonderful to share.
happened just before Shabbat?
I do. Steve and I welcomed our 7th grade niece/nephew tonight. My sister's 5th grandchild was born tonight, Sadie Paige Solomon. What? Oh, and Robin is a member here, right?
Robin Blast.
And they're really excited. They're very, very excited. And everybody's doing well.
Good. Mazal tov. Well, it's hard to top that, but still, please share those good moments happening in your week, or in the week that was.
A long time a student. I'm Alexandra Evans. And yeah, a long time a student and friend of mine who lives in Peru is going to visit me like the 28th. And so
Nice.
So I'm happy, yes. First time I've been seeing him in real life. So,
Wow. That's great. Well, in my life, I was very glad that this past Saturday, it happened after Shabbat ended, and so it's qualifies. Saturday night, we had a next-door trivia night. It was a lot of fun. About 20s and 30-year-olds gathered here at the synagogue and did a nice trivia night, and the fun part was that we did a food taste test trivia. Even though we were in Atlanta, we did not do Coke and Pepsi, but we did things like chocolate, or guess if that's oat milk, coconut milk, or regular cow's milk. And surprisingly, people were very good. The ones they weren't good at is wine and guessing the Oreo. We gave them 4 different kinds of sandwich cookies. Only 2 were Oreo brand, and only 1 was like a traditional Oreo. So if you want to do this test for yourselves, go to Kroger after this and buy 4 different kinds and see if you can do it. Cantor?
Well, Lavender has discovered a word for bottle. She is saying baba. So I just, every day, she is my Shehecheyanu moment.
Amen. So as we join together in all of these wonderful things, we sing a prayer giving gratitude for God for enabling us to reach this moment. Page 648, if you'd like the words.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'hegiyanu lazman hazeh.
In these darkening days of winter, we tend to maybe have darker feelings of sadness or depression, and sometimes we are physically ill, and sometimes we need those prayers of healing, those comforting words of support from our synagogue community, from our family, from all those who love us. In our community, we are praying for the healing of Ellen Young and Stuart Young, Sandy Geller, Pesha Rachel, Caitlin Sylvie, Levi Sylvie, Matt Sylvie, Bruce Mencher, Brett Samsky, Meir Ben Rachmel Vidina, Yeda Bat Yosef Lev V'Miriam, Ashish Sharma, Howard Ackerman, Ken Schiffer, Helen Ray, Ludmilla Coven, Michelle Lappin, Florence Rosenberg, and Nella Kurtzer. If you are praying for the healing of a loved one or for yourself this Shabbat, I invite you to say that name aloud or in your heart as my hand passes over you. We join together in a Mishaberach Lecholim, gathering all of these names, all those loved ones who are in need of these prayers of healing. Page 371 in the middle. Please rise.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We remain standing for Kiddush, page 123, bringing that joy and gladness and simcha to Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafel.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaro l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. We remain standing for Aleinu L'Shabeach. We will be praying the words on page 586, and then the words found in Vehashevota on page 588, 4 lines from the bottom of the top paragraph.
Aleinu l'shaveach l'adon hakol,
Latin Gedulah Yotzei Bereshit,
shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'nor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu kor'im, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'hashevota elevavecha. Now you.
Elevavecha.
Ki Adonai. Your turn.
Ki Adonai.
Hu ha'Elohim.
Hu ha'Elohim.
Together.
Emanu-El. Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz, Vayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo Please be seated. As we conclude our service, doing so with the memory of loved ones who are no longer with us, who have passed in recent days or in years gone by, We are thinking particularly of the family for Heidi Greenberg in the period of Shiva, and for the families of Morton Slutsky and Oli Markison, the first 30 days mourning the loss, and for the yahrzeits which occur around this Shabbat, for David Edelman, Nate Arrett, Israel Baer, Ruth Brackman, Suzanne Davidson, Ezra Eisenberg, Sheila Fisher, Judith Freutal, Loretta Gilman, Carol Giddis, Eugene Goldman, Sam Hochberg, Murray Klein, Bernard Kabrinsky, Izzy Kuttner, Lawrence Marcus, Alice Mordler, Irving Nathans, Norman Nymark, Francis Risner, Gloria Sack, Augusta Schrage, H. Nathan Seidel, Mark Allen Seldes, Yetta Slade, Isidore Smith, and Carol Titman. If you are in the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise at this time so our congregation may recognize you. If you're in the first year mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise and remain standing so our congregation may recognize you. And if you are here commemorating a yahrzeit, the death anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to please rise at this time so we may recognize you. And if it is your custom to rise with those who mourn for the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, and for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we do so, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'reichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael,
ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.